Hi, my name's Dom and I'm a transport team manager at Castlewood.
Hi, my name's Jerry. I'm a transport shift manager at Castlewood Co-op.
It might sound obvious, but what does transportation mean in the world of logistics?
So I think transport in the world of logistics, people traditionally think of big lorries going down the road because that's what people see. But that's kind of the end product of transport. There's a whole big support network around that. So we've got the warehouse side who will pick and load. And again, there's all the support mechanisms around that. But coming into the transport side, we've got the planning section. We've got our own TSAs who will execute the basic plan. We've got transport team manager like yourself. But external to that, we've got the compliance team who keep us legal. We've also got health and safety. We've got the training team. So there's a whole world of support around transport. So what people would traditionally think of as transport is much, much bigger than that. So Dom, give us a quick update on your career to this point. What have you done? Where have you come from?
So I found a advert for this job online. I saw a advert for a agency picker at Co-op, and this was about 6.5 years ago. Went for it sort of on a whim, like didn't really know about any sort of logistics background or anything like that. Got the job. I was an agency picker for about a year. Then applied to be a core Co-op colleague. Got that role, and then learned about loads of different things in the warehouses, being like a warehouse operative. So you've got like your tipping, your loading, ambient goods in, chill goods in, freezers, etc., things like that. Then that kind of led me on to being a seconded stock support assistant for 6 months, which is more counting stock, making sure that our out-of-date products go back to suppliers if anything comes to the depot that's been sent to the wrong place. Basically, we're the ones that sort out all of that. So yes, I was a stock support assistant for about 6 months. Then I applied for a full-time position in the same role. Was unsuccessful in that, so it would have meant that I would have gone back down to my warehouse operative role. Then there was a random job that came up for a transport team manager, and I didn't really know a clue about transport, didn't have any sort of idea, and I was pushed by my team manager to apply for it. I did, and I got it. Much to my surprise, I got it, and then I started that on a 3-month secondment. And learn loads and loads and loads about like the history of transport and compliance, and basically the sheer amount of knowledge you need to know to be able to work in transport. Then I ended up being made full-time in that role. Worked that for about 12 months, and I recently was on a 6-month secondment as transport shift manager on a different shift entirely, and that's just ended, and now I'm back as being a transport team manager in my home role. Give us a snapshot of what your daily, weekly tasks are.
Wow, now that's really difficult because one day is never the same as another day. So the typical things that I would need to be doing would be to make sure that the shift's been planned correctly. I wouldn't necessarily do that myself, but making sure that somebody has planned, that we got the right people in the right places. So I'd have an overview of that. I'd be looking at absences. So who's gone off sick recently? Have they triggered any warnings? Is there anything we need to do differently? Are there any welfare calls we need to put in? I'd be looking at what incidents and accidents we've had, making sure the packs have been completed properly, get them signed off as quickly as possible if we can. And if they haven't, who can we assign them to? So just because one person started a pack, I might ask somebody else to pick that up further down the line. I would be looking at some of the bigger projects. So as a depot this year, we're working on the 5 pillars. So one of the pillars that I'm working now is the people plan. So I'm now looking at forming a team to start working under that people plan to try and improve engagement. Part of that is also looking at our talkback, our big survey that we have every year, to look at the results from that to see what we can do to make things better, make sure that all our people are as happy as they can be when they're at work. But a day-to-day task is so varied. Well, transport just moves all the time. You can come in one day with a plan and the next day it's just completely out the window because there's been a big incident on the road where you've had to just drop everything to go and deal with, which is part of the reason I love transport so much, because it's so dynamic.
You can come in with a plan and then the next thing you know, like there's been a lorry turned over on its side and it's one of our lorries and we need to get people out there now, and it can be very fast paced and you need to make very fast sort of decisions on the spot, which is what I love about it so much.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's like when the snow comes down, when you come in with a plan, say, right, this is my plan today. So, for example, I was supposed to be doing CPC, and I came in, I'm doing my CPC today, so this is what's happening. Then all of a sudden it starts snowing. It's like, okay, I'm not doing my CPC now. Right, I need you to go and do that. You need to go and do that. You need to go and do that. So it's just really dynamic. But the joy you get when you land the plan, at the end of the day, you just go, oh, yeah, it's been a good day.
What is a highlight you can tell us about from your career to date?
I think the biggest highlight to my career, and it probably in terms of my confidence made the biggest difference, was quite a lot of years ago. I was working in Thetford in Norfolk, and our depot's closed now, as a driver assessor. And I loved the role. They then decided that they were going to start training some of us up as HGV driving instructors. And we had to fill in an application form to work out who was going to go first. So I filled my application form in and sent it off. And I didn't get a position, and I was disappointed by that. I was the only female, so I really wanted to push it out there as the only female being able to do that. I was really, really fortunate. I don't know to this day why she did it, but one of our senior logistics managers, somebody dropped out of the course, and my direct manager said, oh, well, Fred's going to go and do that. And one of the senior managers said, no, Jerry's going to go and do that. And I don't know why she believed in me that day, but it made so much difference. The fact that she put her faith in me, and I wasn't about to let her down. So I went and I did my instructor's course. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. It was such a difficult course, but I was so proud of myself for doing it. And it improved my confidence no end, because I suddenly realised actually I was as good as any of the other guys. Don't get me wrong, I had a great relationship with the rest of the driver assessor team, and we all supported each other. But I always felt that maybe I wasn't quite good enough. But the fact that I could go and get the same qualification as they had, and I could do it, and I probably passed it quicker than some of the others as well, made a real big difference. But it's the hardest thing I've ever done, but it made the biggest difference to my career and to my confidence, which helps you in your career all the time.
Fantastic.
What are the 3 key skills that have helped you to do your job?
I would say being able to talk to people and being empathetic with people's views. Obviously, there's a lot of higher up sort of management that have been here for years and years, and there's that very old sort of mindset of, oh, you just get up and get on with it, don't you? And I think that's very much dying now, and especially with everything with the engagement pieces that everybody's doing, and pushing the mental health and things. I feel like it's having the people skills to be able to talk to somebody that's going through it is a huge tool that I use a lot in every single day in my role. I think that being honest as well has helped loads. Like if I'm not sure about something, I don't mind just going to ask, because it's not like a bad thing to not know something. At least if I ask, then I know, and then in the future you can always make sure you do the right thing. And I don't know, I've got a severe sort of problem with not really wanting to do anything wrong, so that helps a lot. And last one, 3 key skills. I'd say working hard and not being afraid to go out of your comfort zone, and having a growth mindset in terms of where you want to go in life. If you want to go somewhere, then you need to be pushing yourself into doing things that definitely don't feel right, because that's where you learn the most. Even if you fail, it's not a failure if you learn from it. That's what I use. Got quite deep there.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think you've got organisational skills and time management skills are really, really crucial as well, aren't they, in this particular role?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If you don't if you aren't good with your time management, then you'll just miss meetings, you'll miss people, and then you'll make a name for yourself that you never really pick anything up properly, and then you like project your brand onto others, and then it can be really hard to change that brand once you've already set it in. What was the training and development process like when you started?
When I very first started as a driver, so my journey started as a van driver many moons ago, and it was pretty much, there you go, drive, there's your keys, crack on. And that was pretty much my training. It has changed since then.
It's crazy how much it's changed.
Yes, massively. So as I progressed through it and took on different roles, there were different types of training. I then went into training myself, so I was actually delivering that induction. So I was part of the team who then went on to make that induction process better. So I was delivering a full day's induction. When I came back to the co-op into this role, the induction was a week long, and I got to go to Berkeley to go and see some of the transport planning sections, spent time with all the senior team here, so I saw their roles. It's significantly better than what it was. So we can remember the old days with a smile, but the training now is second to none, I think. And we're always getting refreshers in various things of health and safety, contractor legislation and things like that. So as soon as something comes up, there's new training assigned to it. I'm not always fond of the online training, which a lot of it is, but that's the way the world's going.
There's a safe systems of work and like some training for every single thing you could possibly think of, isn't there?
Yes.
So,
it certainly feels like it. Seems like every other day you're getting some new training assigned to you.
Yeah.
But it's good because it means that we always know what's going on.
Yeah,
I think what I also quite like in terms of the training and induction pieces, the regular CPC training. So I always make sure I go into the driver CPC training so that, A, to keep my license up, but also so I know what the drivers are being told. So they will never be in a position where they're saying things that we just don't know about. I think it's really important that we know the same things everyone else is being told.
Yeah, I agree. And it can also help from like a position of me not holding a HGV license. I can also attend this CPC and I can learn things that they're being taught without actually holding that license, which is a great insight for me. So yeah, it's good.
It's valuable training. What are the biggest changes that you've seen in transport since you've started?
Since I started in transport, so I've worked in transport for, when did I start? I don't know.
It's a few years ago, isn't it?
I think it's like 2 and a bit years I've worked in transport for. And I would say definitely the way that we are pushing people and the way that we're trying to negotiate better sort of relationships with our drivers. At the start, when I first started, it was very much sort of management drivers and there being like a massive wall in between and like us and them. Whereas now, like we are really, really trying to be able to build that bridge between the both of us, even though there are still some that adopt this really old mindset because they've had a negative experience with like a disciplinary hearing in the past or something. But I do think that we've built that bridge to a really strong one now. And I think that definitely the people and the engagement part of it has been the biggest change I've seen since I started.
I think adding to that, so I've spent a lot more years in transport. I'm quite long in the tooth with these things, I think. I've seen a massive shift from when I first began. Women in logistics was hardly ever happened. So, and if you did, it was a clerk. So you didn't get drivers. I encountered some people who would go out their way to help you because you was a woman driver. You'd have people who would deliberately make your life more difficult because you was a woman driver. There was a lot of bias in those days, a lot of dinosaurs, and you don't see that anymore. We've got most of our team managers are female now in transport. We've got a lot of clerks who are female. We've got several female drivers as well. I think the world is moving on in a really positive way. Women are accepted more than they were when I first started. And I think in terms of technology as well, technology's moved on. So again, when I first moved into transport, it was all done on pen and paper. Now everything's done computerized. We have all of our vehicles are pretty top of the range. So most of them are automatic vehicles. They've all got reversing cameras, which was never heard of in my day. They've all got
just
sat
stood
navs.
down all of our old 13 plate ones, haven't we? Now I've got like the 24 plate ones, and they've all got like Bluetooth connection, sat navs, reverse cameras everywhere, and
It's
they're
just
all
crazy
fantastic.
technology. I took one out a little while ago, and it's just incredible. There's technology on those vehicles I don't even have on a car. They are top of the range pieces of kit now, which makes them driving them so easy now. You don't have to be, a big 6-foot bloke with Popeye muscles anymore. It just doesn't have to be that way.
What does the future look like for transportation?
I think the future for transport is moving more and more towards technology. So as I mentioned earlier, our kit is now significantly improved on what it used to be. All our lorries are so easy to drive because they're automatic. They've got cameras all around, which makes life easy for incident detection. They've got lane detection. They've got all sorts of technology on there. I think as technology improves, they'll go into those vehicles. I think the future will be in preserving fuel. So I think there'll be a lot of emphasis now on the greener side of things. I don't think we'll ever go driverless. I think there is an aspiration to do that in cars in times, but I don't think I can foresee a time when lorries will ever go driverless.
I think I can see it one day, but
You think so?
But not in terms of the delivery, but in terms of the driving, yes. But then again, why would you make the HGV driverless if you're going to need somebody there for the delivery anyway?
Yeah, it's a scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know.
I definitely can see it though.
We did have an electric vehicle on site. Did you get to see the electric vehicle that came in?
Yeah.
That was
The Mercedes tractor unit.
Yeah, it was a big old Volvo. And
that was it, yeah. Sorry, not the Mercedes.
It was impressive. I had a drive of it, and it was a very impressive piece of kit. But I don't think, for our particular side of transport, I don't think it's suited for our operation. But in the future, if that battery power develops, I think it will be good. I think electric probably is the way to go in the future.
And we've already been using things like co-pilot to be able to make our jobs easier as well, like in terms of I don't know, like making the pack sort of distribution easier. So like we have asked it to make a spreadsheet that does X, Y, and Z to something, and it'll make it like 50% faster because we don't then need to print all the packs off and organise them one by one because the system's already done it for us because we've asked it to through AI. And it's crazy.
That's crazy technology, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I can see how it's useful, but it's quite scary as well, I think.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool though.
It is, and I am embracing it already.
Yeah.
There are times when I'll go, oh, just rephrase me this.
Yeah.
Okay, Dom, so what do you see yourself doing in your career over the next few years?
I don't know, because they speak about these squiggly careers thing, and like you don't always have to just go up and up and up, which is kind of what I've done. Like I've kind of done I don't know, like from the bottom to top sort of trajectory, which is not really classed as a squiggly career, but I would be completely open to trying something new and maybe taking a path out of logistics, but maybe still in logistics, but just in a completely different environment, like maybe the logistics implementation team, or even going to funeral care. This is what I mean about the co-op. There's already so many different things that you can throw your hat into that I don't know. This is why I'm completely open to any sort of opportunity. But yeah, I'm happy to stay at the co-op for years and years and years because it's a fantastic company to work for.
I think it's good to have that open mind to all these opportunities, because you're right, there are so many opportunities there and you just grab them with both hands. One of the things I was talking to the ladies about this afternoon was, if you get the opportunity to go and work at another depot, even if it's just working in the warehouse in another depot, grab it, because that's where you're going to network with people and they remember your name. And then when something comes up, they go, oh yeah, but I remember you, so why don't you come and work on this project with me? The opportunities then are endless. Once your name's out there as someone who's interested in doing these things, there is so much you can get involved in. Word
of mouth, isn't it? If they need an answer to a question, they'll think, oh, I spoke to such and such at this depot, and they can send you a message, and then I don't know, before you know it, you've got your foot in the door on like a really big project, and yeah, it's cool.
Having that network is really useful.
Yeah, it's great.